Okay, so we're now on to season 3 of the show, and this is my second attempt at recording this because last time I tried I was absolutely knackered, to use what I think is a British term, inappropriately for this perhaps. So episode 1 of season 3 is Mr. Ruggerio's neighbourhood. I think that's how it's pronounced. So the quote is, "Listen, I'll save you some gas. I'm just going to the stationery store and I'll be right back. You don't gotta follow me like yesterday, all right?" Yeah, so that's this is. I don't think it's from this screenshot. Like, this is another scene where he gives the feds the finger. Harris and someone else is watching them. Yeah, but the other one is from an earlier thing where, or is it a later thing? But anyway, he kind of pulls their leg and says basically that he's sussed them out. This is actually, I really like this episode. Actually, it's not one of those fan favourites. I guess for the standard of the first half of season 3, which is pretty supreme generally speaking, it doesn't stand out as great that much. But yeah, it's basically the biggest FBI episode we ever get, or the most screen time they ever get during an episode, and it's nice to see that exploration of things. The mob story within this is mostly Patsy Parisi, who's who basically knows that Tony ordered the killing of his twin brother, which would piss most people off, wouldn't it? That wouldn't endure most people to someone, would it? But yeah. That's sort of the main plot of the episode. Let's get on to the tropes. So we've got ascended extra Dan Grimaldi, who was previously limited to cameos as either slain twin Phil Parisi or surviving twin Patsy Parisi, begins to take on a larger role from this point onwards as Patsy. Yeah. Actually, there's an interesting scene in the previous episode, Funhouse, the end of season 2, where Tony and Pussy and Furia, I think, are at a table, and I think Syl's there possibly as well. Anyway, there's a line that says, Tony says, "All my enemies are cooked," or something like that, and then Patsy appears. Just as he says that, Patsy appears. I think that's trying to say something, isn't it? Even though most people at that point anyway would probably think that Big Pussy is the one being referred to there, who's another enemy who hasn't been cooked yet, as it were. Yeah. But yeah, I think that kind of there's a theory that Patsy is playing the long game, and that gets into that. I'm not going to get into that too heavily, but yeah. A day in the limelight, so here we go, for the FBI, as well as Patsy Parisi and Gigi Stone to an extent, whose name I probably mispronounced. Yeah. Fan service. Oh, this is always good. Adriana's tennis outfit and the periodic upskirt shots of Meadows' roommate drunkenly singing "New York, New York" in her underwear. Yeah. Lower Deck episode. The episode starts by having a particularly unremarkable day for the titular family, shown through the eyes of the rarely seen FBI. Overlaps with villain episode. I wouldn't say they're rarely seen, are they? They're certainly, their presence is felt, certainly, and yeah. Oh, shout out! Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted to know. Yeah, Mr. Rogers' neighbourhood and every breath. Well, yeah, Mr. Rogers' neighbourhood first of all. Yeah, But also, and it says also FBI agents' efforts to place a bug in Tony's basement unfold while the Peter Gunn theme is playing, awesomely mashed up with every breath you take, no less. Yeah, that's one of the best musical pieces in the whole show. There's a lot of really good musical pieces around this time, like late season 2, early season 3. There's one in the next episode that's really good, really appropriate for the scene that we'll get to in that episode. Yeah. So, okay, villain episode, Inverted. The show's notable FBI agents enjoy decent focus in this episode, and the implementation of their gambit drives its plot. Yeah. Murder is the best solution. How Sylvia suggests they handle Patsy. Yeah, remind you of he was the one who basically suggested to Tony to kill Richie, of course, in a couple of 3 episodes previously. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's not much. We get the maid in this episode. The maid also in this episode is also gets quite a few. I know, husband or whatever he is. It gets quite a few bit of screen time as well. So maybe I should edit that in actually. Yeah, day in the line. Even the Sopranos maid gets more screen time than usual in this episode. Yeah, even the Sopranos maid gets more screen time than usual in this episode. Yeah. Kind of a really funny character she is, actually. A kind of, I guess it's that kind of Eastern European, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's got that kind of Eastern European personality, I think. Yeah. Yes, I've made an edit too. I always like to do that when I'm doing these rambles. Actually, makes it easier to do it actually when I'm doing these rambles. I think, you know, it kind of gets the mind going or whatever. Promoted to the opening credits, Federico Castelluccio, Lucio, whatever. Furio is added to the credits. Yeah. Kind of interesting. You can kind of see in the credits who's got the best, who's yeah, it's just kind of interesting. It's a very nerdy, geeky thing, but I do like to see who's in the opening credits as it goes on. It's kind of like Johnny Sack, for example. Vincent Corritola doesn't get in until the 4th season, so yeah. Yeah, just bits of trivia, as it were. Yeah. Yeah, what else do I want to say? Oh yeah, the boiler breaks in this episode, and that's sort of thwarts their. Well, it almost thwarts their. Yeah, it does thwart that, as it says here. It thwarts their attempts to bug the basement. And then they are able to successfully plant it, but then it gets moved eventually, doesn't it? I think, yeah. So that's the end of that, as it were. Yeah, that is the end of that episode. I'll ramble of it. Which brings us to the second episode, which is Proszę Liviska. Yeah, one of the great ones. On one hand, I want to protect my children from the truth. On the other, I'm saying, what kind of example am I setting? Evading and smiling, passing out cheese puffs over a woman who was terribly dysfunctional, who spread no cheer at all. Yeah, that's one of the great. That's one of the best Carmela moments, really, I think. And of course, the screenshot is from the funeral itself. This is notoriously the episode where Tony is at his most racist, basically. Yeah, we get the rewind scene with why has he passed out in the kitchen? It turned out he's had a tricky conversation with Noah, who's Meadows' new boyfriend, and yeah, it's interesting actually. He sees Uncle Ben's, which later has now become Ben's Originals, Ben's Original, for reasons of its being overly stereotypical or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of makes it even more interesting that was the choice they used for Tony, make Tony pass out, given the name change, controversies about it and all that. Yeah, The Public Enemy, 1931, we get certain clips of that, watching it, Tony. One of the OG mob films, yeah, mob works in America anyway. Yeah, and obviously Livia's funeral, there's so much to talk about. I mean, there's the Minister of Propaganda line from Who to Mary DeAngelis. There is the... what else is there? There is the... there's Janice's antics, of course. The kind of what does Tony call it? The California West Coast hippie bullshit or something, something like that. What I wanted to mention, I mentioned before, was the music choice during the wake. If I Loved You, from a musical, I believe, and it's just so inappropriate for a funeral, but it kind of gets to Livia's personality, and apparently you can kind of see the actors. Apparently the actors were trying to keep their laughter in during the filming and that, and you can kind of see that they're doing that. Yeah. We get a couple of really creepy moments as well. Big Pussy appearing in the mirror for a brief second, only to the viewer, and then we get that scene of a guy walking down the staircase in the background from Tony, and it looks kind of like maybe a young junior, but it might just be some random person. It's very very creepy, that scene. It is, I think, even more creepy than the big pussy in the mirror. The first appearance of Ralph. Yeah, of course it is. It comes back from Florida or whatever, yeah. Return of Janice, of course, after a couple of episodes. The scene where obviously you've got the scene which has lended itself to a lot of memes is where Carmela tells Tony that Olivia has passed away. Sort of used as a meme. When a celebrity dies, that comes up as a meme in particular. Yeah. Time marches on. Uncle Ben's converted rice no longer exists, the company having changed its name to one considered less culturally insensitive. Yeah. Actually, is there a... I think that comes up on the WYMMV tab. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to put that in. I'm not sure if does it fit harsher in hindsight. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm going to. Harsher in. Harsher in hindsight. So the choice of the then named Uncle Ben's rice as a trigger for Tony passing out seems even more seems like it has even more of a sharp edge to it. Given that the brand later changed its name to something which was how do I word this? I was going to say more PC. I don't want to put it like that. Something less racially stereotypical. Let's put it like that. Oh, let's also note the Noah's thing as well. After hurling racial insults at Noah. Yeah. Seems like it has even more of a sharp edge to it, given that the brand later changed it into something less racially stereotypical. Yeah, that's about sums it up, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so the end of Livia. Oh, yeah, well, we just saw it on this page. Nam. Tony's final scene with his mother, an extremely awkward mix of new footage of James Gandolfini and the outtakes of the late Nancy Marchand, which never comes close to being convincing, not least because her hairstyle quite obviously changes from one shot to the next. Yeah, that is one of the low points in terms of the directional choices of the show, isn't it? They could probably pull it off today, I suppose, couldn't they? But I think they could have just got away with having her die off screen. Well, she did die off screen, but have her not appearing again. Just mentioning that she died. That would have. I don't think there would have been too many complaints about that, would there? Yeah. So. Oh, there's a Hesh joke, yeah, at the funeral. Remember that? Yeah, a fair bit of foreshadowing, isn't there? Yeah, that's about it for that episode. I think that's quite. I've made a edit to the thing and all that. Yeah, so let's move on to the next one, which is Fortunate Son, episode 3, and the quote is, "Once you're into this family, there's no getting out." And yeah, that a lot of people would find that very much as it went on, wouldn't they? And we get the shot, our screenshot is Paulie and Christopher, of course, where Christopher apparently had one butt cheek only on the car seat, or whatever the line is, yeah, because he thought he was going to meet his marker. Yeah, so this is the main thing is Christopher being made finally in this episode, which is something that's been discussed since like almost the first episode, where he had a go at Tony for not making him yet or something. Yeah. Jackie Aprile Jr. shows up, so he's another aspiring mafioso, and intellectually useless as well and all that. And we get Dr. Malfi. Dr. Malfi's scene where Tony rehashes the memory of seeing Satriali get his finger chopped off. Yeah, that's one of the more disturbing therapy sessions. Jackie gets involved into the game, as it were, with Christopher and all that. And the Janice feud with Svetlana. That's one of the funny storyline. The prosthetic leg and the record collection, and all that. That's very. I don't think they knew what to do with Janice during season 3, so they just gave her these amusing storylines. Another one is she had the whole Christian thing, didn't she? Aaron Arkaway, and she also had the Aaron Arkaway, the narcoleptic and all that. Yeah, and I think by the end she gets with final episode, she gets with Ralphie, doesn't she? Or there's hints of it, and that kind of goes forth into the next season. Yeah, there's more happens and such like. Establishing character moment. On the last one, it was about Ralph and the fire, I think, wasn't it? So on this one, it's Carmine Lupertazzi Senior's first scene marks him as a feared and respected Don who can switch back and forth between polite conversation and barking orders that are followed instantly. Carmine's initial conversation with Tony has him admit that he is aware of Tony's panic attacks and psychiatrist sessions and expresses sympathy for Tony's plight, sincerely encouraging him to take better care of himself. This firmly establishes him as an affably evil, reasonable authority figure, but also as someone who knows things about you that you do not want him to know and thus cannot be taken lightly. Yeah. Benny Fazio makes his first appearance in the series alongside Chris in the pizza parlour. It becomes obvious that he's always going to be Chris's loyal sidekick. Yeah. Easy to forget that he's around this early, actually. He's kind of, I think of him as being more of a later season's character. But anyway. Gilligan's Cut, see what we've got here. Tony tells Jackie Jr. that he doesn't want the mob life for AJ either. The next scene is of AJ during his football game. Yeah. Tony helps him out to some cold cuts in Livia's fridge. Then the flashback of Johnny Boy and Uncle Junior shaken down to Satriali begins. Yeah, meat in the show has interesting connotations, doesn't it? Tony asks Paulie when Chris is ever going to grow up. The next scene is the football coach foisting leadership responsibilities onto AJ. Yeah, there's a lot of you've got Christopher and Tony and AJ and Jackie Jr. All about their potentials and how they're fulfilling their potentials in terms of masculinity and such like, really. Because this is where we get AJ passing out with a panic attack. Apparently Tony doesn't find out about it until the last episode with the whole military school thing, which is why he can't get into military school. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a good episode. Again, it kind of like the first episode, it kind of pales into what some of the other first half of season 3 episodes. Which is why I'm actually going to only do these first 3 episodes in this. Yeah. So because we're already at what are we at? Over 26 minutes. Yeah. So what else to say about this episode? Oh yeah, the Christopher making scene where there's the crow on the blackbird, whatever it is, on the windowsill. And that's a kind of classic bad luck sign, as it turns out to be the case. And yeah, UG is made alongside him, of course, and that's kind of. I don't think he becomes as big a character as he was perhaps intended to be. Robert Fanaro, I was mentioning the geeky, nerdy opening credits thing. He is actually credited in the opening credits in this season, but he isn't after it. Yeah. So don't know what was going on there. So yeah, that's about it for this video, this part of my rambling series. Yeah, I'll be back for the next episode, which is not the easiest one. It's the Employee of the Month, Season 3, Episode 4. So yeah, I'll be back for that, and thanks for watching.